Hey, what's up, my friend? So in this video, I'll explain to you, alright, how much money you can potentially make from Forex trading, right? The reason I created this video is because often, right, you have seen statements like this, right? You know, you can make 300% a year, $25,000 a month, $5,000 a week, you know, and yada yada, right? But here's the thing, okay? Statements like this doesn't tell you how much risk you need to take to generate this type of returns. Like for example, let's say, you know, a statement like, you know, making $25,000 a month, right? Is that possible? Well, if you are risking, let's say, you know, you have $1 million account and you're risking, you know, 20,000 per trade, which is about 2% risk, right? Then yes, right, $25,000 a month is pretty much, you know, doable, right? It's possible. But if you have only, let's say, $1,000 account and you're trying to make $25,000 a month, I would say that is suicide, financial suicide. Okay? So can you see that, you know, if you want to ask yourself how much money can you make, right, you need to understand, right, the risk that comes along with it, right? And this is what today's video is all about. I want to share with you, right, a formula that you can apply and tells you, right, how much money you can potentially make in a given week, month, or year. So all you need to do is plug and play the formula, right, and you will have an objective answer to this question, right? How much money can you make from trading? Okay, so here is the formula. So the formula is expectancy multiplied by the frequency of your trades multiplied by your bet size. So what is expectancy? So let me explain. So your expectancy is basically another formula, but don't worry, right? It's very simple. I'll explain it to you step by step. Expectancy is equals to, right, where W is the size of your average win. What is the size of your average win? L is the size of your average loss. And P is your winning rate. Okay, if this doesn't quite make sense to you, don't worry, let's walk you through an example. Let's say, for example, you make 10 trades and you have 6 winners and 4 losers. So needless to say, right, your winning percentage is 60% because you have 6 divided by 10 is 60%. So what is the size of your average winning trade? So let's say your 6 trades, it brought you a profit of $3,000. Okay, so the average size of your winners is simply $3,000 divided by 6, right? Because this is the number of winners you had. And the average size of your winners is $500. So you take the total profit that you earned divided by the number of your winning trades and you get the average size of your winner. And similarly, right, to calculate the average size of your loser is to take the total losses that you had divided by the number of losers you had, which is 4, right? So 1,006 divided by 4, and you get the average size of your loss is about $400. Okay, so this is actually very simple, basic math. So using this formula now, we can actually calculate your expectancy, right? Just plug and play the formula. You already know what is W, you know what is L, and you know what is P, which is your winning rate. So you just plug in the formula, right? 1 plus bracket 500 divided by 400. This is your average size of your winners divided by the average size of your losers, right? Multiply by your winning rate minus 1 and you get 0.35 or otherwise 35%. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, hey Rainer, what exactly, you know, does this 35% mean, right? Does it mean I make 35% a week, a year, a month? No, not really. What it means is actually your trading strategy will return 35 cents for every dollar traded over the long term. So this means, right, over the long term, if you bet $1, you can expect to get back $1.35, right? If you bet, let's say, $500, you can expect to get back, you know, about, let me get my calculator, about $675 back over the long run, right? So this is basically what your expectancy means, right? What is the return you get for every dollar you risk? So with that said, right, now we can just, you know, plug everything into the formula, right? You already calculate your expectancy. So just to recall, right, the expectancy in the earlier example is 35% or 0.35. Frequency, this is the number of frequency of trades that you take. Let's say, for example, you are taking 200 trades per year. Okay, let's say the specific strategy that you are taking, you know, has about 200 trading setups or 200 trades per year, and you are risking $100 on each trade. Okay, so just take all these simple numbers and just plug into the formula, which is this expectancy multiply by frequency, multiply by your bet size, and you get, ta-da, $7,000, right? So this means, right, given an expectancy of 0.35, given that, you know, you have about 200 trades a year, and given that you're risking $100 on each trade, you can expect to make $7,000 per year for this particular trading strategy. Okay, is this objective of what? This is, you know, as objective as you can get. There is no, you know, subjectivity. There is no, you know, nothing about, you know, the issue of, you know, how much you risk and stuff like that, because everything here has been defined ahead of time. And one thing that I want to point out, right, is that your frequency, right, the more frequency of trades that you have, the more money you'll make. Okay, because this allows you to let the law of large number, right, work out in a shorter period of time. Because if you think about this, right, why do casino, right, always, you know, try to have as many round of gambles as possible within a short period of time, right? Because they want to place more bets. The casino knows that the more bets they place, the more money they make. Right, simple, right? Similarly for, you know, high frequency trading, why do they trade so often? Because they know the more bets they put on, the more money they make. Okay, so understand that the more frequency you put on for your trades, the more money you'll make. But there's one disclaimer down here, is that, you know, it mustn't erode your edge, right? Because if the more you trade and the more it erodes your edge, then hey, you know, that kind of defeats the purpose, right? But if your edge can remain, right, and you can put on more trades within a shorter period of time, you'll make more money, right? So the higher your frequency, the more money you'll make. Similarly for bet size, right, I think this is quite intuitive, right? The larger you bet, the more money you'll make, right? So you can see that either your frequency goes up, your bet size goes up, or your expectancy goes up, the more money you'll make. However, for bet size, right, again, you can't, you know, just bet the entire farm, right? Because there's something called, you know, the risk of ruin. So you typically want to keep your bets between 1-2% of your trading account size. You know, anything larger like, you know, 20-30%, right, could, you know, cause you to blow up your entire trading account, right? And no, not even make money at all for a given year. So your bet size, you kind of want to limit it to, you know, 1-2% of your trading account. But needless to say, right, if, you know, the larger your bet size, the more money you can make. So this is why, right, a larger account is much easier to make a living from it. Let's say $1 million, right? Your bet size is, let's say, risking 1%, is $10,000. Okay, and it's still 1%. But if you only have $1,000 and you risk 1% on the trade, it's only about $10. So can you see the difference, right? That, you know, you have the same expectancy, the same frequency, but if your bet size, one is $10, one is $10,000, clearly this number is going to, you know, vary a lot. And that could actually, you know, determine whether, you know, it's enough for you to make a living from trading or not. Okay, so this is important considerations that you need to take into account. And also, one last important consideration is this. The larger your sample size, the more accurate your results will be, right? This means that, you know, I don't suggest, you know, even though the example I use, you know, 10 trades only, I don't suggest you know, only use 10 trades, because in the short run, your trading results can be random, right? So I suggest, you know, going with at least 100, 200 of the same particular trading setup to get a more accurate gauge of how much money you can potentially make from that particular trading setup, right? If you have a sample size of 5 or 10 trades, I suggest, you know, accumulating more first before, you know, using this formula, right? The larger your sample size, the more accurate your results will be. Okay, so here's a quick recap to what you've learned today. Number one, right, to calculate how much money you can potentially make, right, without any subjectivity, right, it's just this formula. Expectancy multiplied by the frequency of your trades, multiplied by your bet size. The formula for expectancy is this one over here, right? E is equals to 1 plus bracket the average size of your winners divided by the size of your losers, right? Multiplied by your winning rate minus 1. Very simple. The more frequent you bet, the more money you can make, right? Provided your age is still the same, right? The larger your bet size, the more money you can make. Again, you have to take into account that, you know, that you could face the risk of ruin if you bet too large. So be aware of, you know, betting the farm, right? Don't do that. And last but not least, right, the larger your sample size, the more accurate your results will be. Okay, I think I missed one thing here. Is basically the higher your expectancy,